What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian from House of Rasslin, and this is my review for the July 13th episode of AEW Dynamite. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Follow House of Rasslin on all social media platforms. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Tonight's AEW Dynamite, I will say, the main event surprised a lot of people. Overall, this show was pretty fun. I do wish that there was more in regards to the women's division. More felt like they were more included in the show, because lately it just feels like they're like on another island, like they're just separate from AEW, and it's unfortunate. Of course, we know that's not the case, but the way it's being presented, it does feel that way. But overall, this show was fun. A lot of cool things. One thing that I did notice about this show, and I'm going to go through the matches and the order they were in, and I'll get into what I noticed. So it started off with Wardlow versus Orange Cassidy for the TNT title. Then we had Jericho's promo. Then we went to the John Moxley... Man, I can't. It's hard for me to pronounce his name. Konosuke, Takeshita. Then you had Darby Allin and the video package of him being attacked by Brody King. From there, we had Christian Cage and Luchasaurus, and then you had a quick match between Luchasaurus and Griff Garrison. Then you had Claudio Castagnoli versus Jake Hager. You had Anna Jay versus Serena Deeb. Then you had the Triple Threat Tag Team title match. Swerve in Our Glory, Swerve Strickland, and Keith Lee versus Young Bucks and Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs. So on this card, you had Konosuke Takeshita. You had Wardlow, Orange Cassidy, you had Anna Jay, you had Starks, Hobbs, Swerve Strickland, and Keith Lee. They relatively newcomers. Claudio Castagnoli. You could throw in Luchasaurus being reinvented. So you had a lot of new things being presented, either new or young talent being presented on this show. Granted, this may not float everybody's boat as far as AEW and professional wrestling and what they would like to see in professional wrestling. But for those of who like it, including myself, I enjoyed this show. I liked it. Man, but that main event, oh my goodness, man. Did not expect that. I think most people expected it to go a certain way, and it went completely in a surprising yet celebratory way that a lot of fans are happy with. But getting into how this show started off, one thing I noticed, I don't know if this is a new intro that they have. It wasn't your regular Dynamite theme. Like, it was more of a hip-hop thing, which I hope they keep it because it was pretty cool. The only issue I had with this is if they raise the volume on it, because it was pretty low. Whenever they start off the intro video, it's like really low. Going from the Big Bang Theory to the intro, like the volume just drops and then it picks back up. It's like really weird. So you had, like I said, the first match was Wardlow and Orange Cassidy. One thing I did like about this, and I wish they do this with all the champions, this was really cool, was when Wardlow came out. Like, you have the three Titantrons, you have the video screens, and then you have the middle one. And in the middle Titantron, as he comes out, they had the TNT title. I would like AEW to do that for all their champions, that when they come out, you see the title, like, hey, this is the champion, this is who they are. I don't know, I would like that. That was really cool. It's different. I don't recall seeing that in any other promotion, so that's why I really like that. But man, this match between Wardlow and Orange Cassidy was very, very interesting in a good way. I know some people may not like it because Orange Cassidy got a lot of offense in, and Wardlow's supposed to be this beast, and he's supposed to, just be fearless. But let's be reminded, like during Goldberg's streak, like there were instances where guys that were small kind of made you like, ooh, are they going to? No, they're not. And this was the case. The best friends during this match, they were showing some heelish characteristics. That was until the referee told them to go to the back. There was a lot of cool spots. Danhausen coming out from the ring as Wardlow pulled him up, and he like, nope, I'm not cursing you. I'm not doing it. And as he did that, Orange Cassidy hit him with the orange punch. There was a lot of cool offense that Orange Cassidy did. The only issue I have with it, maybe it's just me nitpicking, but a lot of the moves that he has been doing since Forbidden Door, it's basically been the same moves that he's been doing since Forbidden Door, since his match with Orange Cassidy, and it's kind of like you kind of see the same moves. It's not so bad to use the same moves because let's face it, in the 80s we grew up with a lot of guys, doing the same move, but it was their finishing move. I just wish that he did a little bit more variety instead of some of the typical moves that it's kind of like getting repetitive. It's entertaining, but it's kind of like, okay, we know he's going to do this spot and stuff like that, but that's how it's being presented. Let me clarify that. That is how it's being presented. That's how I see it, how it's being presented. Like, hey, just like change it up a little bit, but other than that, this was a fun match. Wardlow, the way he finished his match was so cool because throughout the match, Orange Cassidy connected on a lot of his Orange Cassidy punch, his Superman punch. And this time, he tried to go for it, and Wardlow caught him, powerbombed him, then pinned him. 1, 2, 3. That was the match. I was like, oh crap, that was dope. So Wardlow wins. He retains the TNT title. He gave him a fist bump. I like that match for another reason. And that reason is these are two of their young studs. They're young superstars. And for them to have that match over the TNT title, and not only two of their young studs, two of their most charismatic wrestlers on their roster fighting over the TNT championship. So that was really cool. Just interested and excited to see more of where this Wardlow TNT title reign goes. Gonna be pretty interesting. We get a recap of Pac and Shota Umo. This is a match that they showed on AEW Dark. It was for the All Atlantic title. They were fighting, I believe, under Rev Pro. I like that. If they continue doing this with this All Atlantic title and fighting in different promotions, they showed the same video package for Thunder Rosa when she fought in Japan, and stuff like that is so cool, especially for your audience. I know some people are like, well, that's kind of backwards. I wish they would have done that in New Japan and this. Hey, this is a 3-year-old company. I've been saying it on every AEW review. Like, this is a 3-year-old company. There's a lot of things that they got to learn. And the grateful thing about it is that they are learning. They're going to implement with time. So, but I like this the other reason why I like this was now this makes people interested to watch AEW Dark. Like, hey, these matches, that are in other promotions are going to be on Dark. Ooh, okay. Maybe we should watch this. Me personally, I would put it on Dark Elevation because it's on Monday and it's right before Raw, and it just gives people a reason to watch that match before Raw. Like, I've been saying it before, like they should reformat AEW Dark and make it more of a third show. That's just me. But no, I like that. Then we get Chris Jericho's promo. He's basically telling Eddie Kingston, you're going to be facing the Painmaker, which was his gimmick in New Japan, which he was very ruthless, crazy, psychotic. Really, that gimmick is what led to a lot of people liking his work in New Japan, which eventually led to all this formation that resulted in AEW being created. So yeah, next week we're going to get Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho, the Painmaker, Chris Jericho. Eddie Kingston, He gets they come back from commercial. He's like, you can bring it. It won't matter. I'm gonna hurt you and I'm gonna enjoy it. And then he walks off with Ruby Soho and Ortiz in the background. From there, we had Jon Moxley versus Konosuke. I hope, man, I keep pronouncing. Man, this guy's name is hard to pronounce. Forgive me, guys. So you had Takeshita versus Moxley. This was a hard-hitting match. Man, Takeshita, that dude hits hard, man. Every match he's in, like, he's very just a hard-hitting, hard-striking. His suplexes are sweet. Sometimes a little bit cringy because, like, ooh, like, the neck is like, ooh, and then when he takes it, like, ooh, man, you're just grabbing your neck. But, man, this was a really solid match. It started off with Takeshita bleeding on the outside and Moxley with a busted nose. You had a bunch of "This is awesome" chants. Like I said, Takeshita suplexes, Moxley reversing, doing the paradigm shift, the elbow strikes, the sleeper hold, which is what resulted in Takeshita tapping out. This was a solid defense by Jon Moxley. Not too much, not too little. Just a match to, hey, he's the interim champ. Let's just keep it there. Then we had the promo by House of Black. And another cool thing that AEW did on the show. Like these little videos, the Pac video, the Thunder Rosa video from Japan, and this video where they showed Brody King pretty much beating the hell out of Darby Allin at a they referred to it as a promotional event, and that happened on Saturday, and it just blew up on Twitter. It's those little things that happen outside of AEW that AEW really are implementing, which I really like. And if they're gonna do this is gonna be this is gonna help AEW have a more intriguing and just drawing people into, like, ooh, okay, man, this is okay. That stuff happened on the internet, and you're bringing up, oh, okay, this is interesting, and it makes the product even more interesting. Just showing it was like, ooh, okay, this is really good. So you had that. Then you had Christian Cage coming out, and he was running down Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. and calls the people in Georgia imbeciles, because that's where tonight's AEW Dynamite was held. Then he says, Luchasaurus, you know what? Go get him. Luchasaurus has an impromptu match with Griff Garrison. Puts the snare trap on him. He taps out. He kicks him out the ring, starts beating him up. Brian Pillman Jr. tries to stop, and Luchasaurus just gives him a headbutt, knocks him out, puts him on the table, choke slams Griff Garrison once. Table doesn't break. It's like, all right, picks him up again, boom, goes through the table. So that was pretty much the whole segment with Luchasaurus and Christian Cage on tonight's Dynamite. Maybe it was just me, but it kind of felt like they were hinting in a very, very subtle way when they started mentioning about Jungle Boy's dad and Brian Pillman's dad, and it was almost like they purposely wanted to refer to draw that comparison with the two, but it almost felt like they were, like, the way Christian was talking at Brian Pillman Jr. was almost like he was kind of talking at him, but like, hey, you shouldn't be like Jungle Boy. You should be like us. Maybe that's me. Maybe that's just how I saw that whole thing. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. But it was a subtle, and I'm like, man, is Brian Pillman going to turn heel? Like, it came to me, I was like, man, is Brian Pillman Jr. going to turn heel? Like, I'm all for it. I mean, he's been a babyface since he's joined AEW. I'm like, this could be interesting. Then you get a backstage segment with the Jericho Appreciation Society. You had Daniel Garcia basically discussing how he's just going to take the pure title from Wheeler Yuta. Then you go to commercial break. They come back. You have Hangman Page backstage. Alex Reynolds and John Silver comes in. They're hyping up their whole relationship with Hangman Page. And then they issue a challenge to the House of Black. That is going to be very interesting because last week, again, these subtle things that they throw out there that are kind of like under the radar, like, it's another match that they do and stuff like that. So last week, you had the Dark Order, and Evil Uno's like, the 6 of us, we're not going anywhere. So they have Hangman Page. I find it very intriguing because a lot of people last week they were discussing like 6 of them. Like, didn't Bray Wyatt just change or copyright the whole Wyatt 6? Like, is he coming in? Like, what's going on here? Like, how is this going to play out? And by them challenging House of Black, like, right away, I'm just like, okay, is this going to, like, be the seeds planted that leads to somehow Bray Wyatt coming to AEW? Hypothetically speaking. Again, this could go in an entirely different direction, but this is what I just started thinking right away. I was like, okay, now why are they picking a fight with the House of Black? Like, they're dark. Like, is there going to be a match where Malachi Black's like, hey, you guys don't have a leader, so if you lose, you have to follow my leadership, and Bray Wyatt comes in and is like, no, they don't belong to you. Brody was a great friend of mine, and I'm going to fight on his behalf that, no, you don't own them. And I don't know, that's an interesting dynamic to think about with the Dark Order. So you had that. Then we're going into the second hour. And another cool thing that they've done, second hour, Jim Ross comes to commentary. So that's so cool. He's not out there for 2 hours. He's there for 1 hour. As I was watching this show, and it's funny because I was live tweeting, and I came across a video on Twitter from a Nitro from like 97, 98. And I'm looking at it, and I look at the video, and I look at the TV, I'm like, God, freaking AEW is so similar to freaking Nitro, man. Like, man, it's so identical. So you had the second hour. Then the next match was Claudio Castagnoli versus Jake Hager. This match surprised me because Jake Hager, some of his matches, they're not bad or anything. I think what it is he's a big guy, and it's kind of like his style is more of a mid-90s style as far as big guys, which you don't see a lot of, in today's wrestling. And of course, they'll be, it's boring. Like, it's not boring. You just got to do it right. And this match was fun. You did get a lot of We the People chants because they were former tag team partners in the WWE, which I thought was pretty cool. Like, man, just play that back, man. And like a lot of people said, and I've said, and a lot of fans have noticed, that in AEW, wrestling history is AEW's history. Like, they don't ignore what has happened before. Of course, they can't outright say it, but they'll allude to it and stuff like that. But, man, this match was pretty cool. Right away, Claudio, man, this is the second match in a row. Actually, you could say the third from Forbidden Door, Blood and Guts, and now this one where he just starts off like he just runs and just uppercuts people and then tries to do the slam. But he did that. There's a lot of uppercuts that he did here. There was a cool spot where he did the spot where he throws the guy up and uppercuts him. He did it to Jake Hager. Like, that was impressive because Jake Hager is a tall dude. It's like, damn, he really got him up there. So, I mean, that was cool for me. He eventually got the power bomb, 1, 2, 3. Claudio wins. He's on a win streak. Really interested to see where else he goes next week and so on, and who he faces. I'm enjoying Claudio / Cesaro in AEW. They're not doing too little with him, but they're not doing too much with him. They're just doing the right balance right now for him bringing in that there's just like, okay, let's just keep him here and see where he goes. So from there, you had a backstage segment with Hook. the backstage interviewer is like, hey, you're undefeated. He walks away. That was a segment. Good thing that Hook is not talking because it's mystique. And AEW has done a really good job with a lot of their young up-and-coming wrestlers that have that mystique factor. They don't say much. Like Wardlow doesn't say much. Like he'll say something, but he's not going to get into this extensive dialogue. From there, we had a recap, like I said earlier in this video, of Thunder Rosa in Japan, where she lost. And the person who she faced, forgive me guys, I can't remember her name. Comment below who her name is. But she will get a title shot for the AEW Women's title here in the States. As they're interviewing Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm, Thunderstorm, Britt Baker returns. Yes, Britt Baker interrupts, and she's like, it seems like this place has been lost when I've been gone, and we'll see what happens when, I face you, and eventually I'm going to take your title. So this is basically setting up for another tag team match between Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter versus Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm. And I don't know what's going on in AEW's women's division. If they're... Now that I think about it, with everything happening with certain women wrestlers that have been reported as free agents, are they temporarily... I don't want to say temporarily, but are they in a way holding off on really putting all this together and waiting for a certain female wrestler to arrive in AEW to really just give it that, really focus on it? Could be a possibility. Not saying that it definitely is or it's being reported like that. That's just my personal opinion. Because of the way it's booked, and they're very... I tweet this all the time. Like, the women's match is usually right before the main event. So I don't know. And it's been brought to a lot of people's attention that there hasn't been a women's match to open up Dynamite in the 3 years. The only one was Jade Cargill, Shaq, Cody Rhodes, and Red Velvet. So, like, are they waiting for that one women's wrestler to show up? Or are they waiting for... Do they have a plan where there's not one, but maybe two or three that are coming to AEW, and that'll give them more, you could say, star power to have women's matches open Dynamites? I don't know. The way wrestling is, it could go either way, but that's just my personal opinion. Just observing, looking how they've been booking the women's division lately, it almost feels like they're waiting. Now that I look at it, it almost feels like they're waiting for something or someone to show up to really just kick it into gear. I know Layla Hirsch is injured, and I believe there's a few other women. Penelope Ford they reported that she's injured. So I know that and Red Velvet is injured. So you have the injuries, and then it's like, it's really interesting what's going on there. And of course, a lot of us fans of the women's division, like, we want to see more women's matches. So it's like, is that one of the reasons why they're holding off? Because they might have, because let's face it, in the fall, that's, the new season in television and stuff like that. So are they waiting for that, to give that fall push and everything? I don't know. It's very interesting how they're going to do this. Plus, you got the Grand Slam. So it's just a lot of things. So you had that. Then you had Serena Deeb versus Anna Jay. This was an okay match. I'm not going to nitpick like, oh, this was clunky. And this, like, granted, I've said that before. But this match was more of you could tell it was kind of like a slight squash match for Serena Deeb, even though Anna Jay did get an offense. It was basically set up Mercedes Martinez to come out and make the save from Serena Deeb having a sharpshooter on too long. And I believe Mercedes Martinez is facing Serena Deeb for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship at Death Before Dishonor. Then they announced that All Out Weekend. I had to catch myself. It's not Chicago. It's Hoffman Estates. Yes, it's Hoffman Estates, the Now Arena, which is 30 minutes from Chicago. They will be in the Chicagoland area. I don't know why they use Chicago. It's Chicagoland area. Then we get to the main event. Swerve Strickland, Keith Lee, Powerhouse Hobbs, Starks, Ricky Starks, and the Young Bucks. I don't think I missed anything. No, I didn't. This match, oh my goodness. This was a match that, this was a fun match. This was an entertaining match. And this was a very competitive match. Going into this match, most people, including myself, the last thing I thought was that they were going to switch the titles. The Young Bucks just won it a couple weeks ago. It's like, man, they ain't going to drop them titles. Young Bucks is going to be a competitive match. Young Bucks are going to win. They're going to set up for them and FTR and so on and so on. Nope. Complete opposite. But until the finish, this was a fantastic match. The walk on our ropes by Ricky Starks. He did it multiple times. There was a point where him and Nick Jackson walked at the same time, and they're just looking and like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And bam, hit the top rope. Ricky Starks in this match, he did a lot of spears. There was a sequence where Swerve Strickland and Nick Jackson, man, that's one thing about this match, man, the fluidity with these guys. And I've said this before on other reviews of Dynamite. And I believe, man, this was the first time that Ricky Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs, Keith Lee, and Swerve Strickland faced each other. There is a chemistry that is organic, that just AEW like came across like, man, these guys just, it's like organic magic. And this match was a reflection of that, especially with the Young Bucks, man. The Young Bucks, man, there was more fluidity with the Young Bucks facing Swerve in Our Glory and Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks than there was with Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. Like, there was such a fluidity, a timing, the moves, the reversals, the kickouts, oh my god. Powerhouse Hobbs did showcase his power. Hobbs showcased his power. Powerhouse Hobbs did a freaking frog splash off the top rope, which was like, whoa. Swerve Strickland and Ricky Starks, you know, the way they complimented Nick Jackson and Matt Jackson and just reversed, like, man, this was so good. And all the spots where Keith Lee just caught either Ricky Starks or Nick Jackson or Matt Jackson, and he just catch it, and they're just like, oh my god. And man, kudos to the Young Bucks, man. They really did a really good job of like just telling that story of how powerful Keith Lee is and Powerhouse Hobbs. But man, this was a fun match to watch. I will tell you this is a match that you will find yourself watching on repeat, because this was a very good match, man. Very good match. In the end, Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks, they did their finishing move. Not Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks. Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland did their finishing move. They win. Yes, Swerve Strickland, Keith Lee are the new AEW World Tag Team Champions. They are the first African-American tag team to win the AEW Tag Team titles. Of course, Scorpio Sky won with SCU. He was the first African-American to win the AEW Tag Team Championship. And Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland are the first African-Americans to win tag team to win the AEW Tag Team Champions. So kudos to them. But man, this was a fabulous match. Watch this match. Like, you watch this match. And I know people who, you know, the Young Bucks may not be your thing or as a tag team, but man, this was a fantastic match. The Young Bucks, man, like I said, man, the Young Bucks were the bridges to all the moves that Powerhouse Hobbs, Keith Lee, Swerve Strickland, Ricky Starks did. Like, they just, honestly, the Young Bucks helped all these guys. Not that they weren't over, but they just helped these guys go to another level in AEW where it's like, okay, you guys are already hot, charismatic, popular with the fans, and now you're at another level. And kudos to Nick and Mac Jackson for, they did the same thing with the Lucha Bros at All Out when the crowd was just so behind them and they just had a fantastic match and put them on there. And the coincidence with the Young Bucks is that when Matt Jackson loses his shoes, they lose the match or the titles. Food for thought. But man, overall, man, like I said, man, I enjoyed this AEW Dynamite. They're putting out some really good content, if you want to call it content. Like, they're putting out a really good show in spite of all these people that are injured, missing, wrestling, all that stuff. They're really putting out a really good show. And I mean, this is the benefit of having a deep roster. You can put this out, but man, Swerve Strickland, Keith Lee, Ricky Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs, Young Bucks. I know it sounds like a broken record to some of you that I've been saying this, but look, I've been saying it. Swerve Strickland, Keith Lee, Ricky Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs, they have an organic chemistry, and it's shown, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's in the audience. I was there at Forbidden Door when Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland were there. The crowd was behind them. They loved them. AEW did the smart thing, and if you got some organic, hey, you know what? We got to go with it. Like, we can't just, this is not in our plans. Nope, this is in our plans. We're going to make it work. And they made it work. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this plays out and where this goes with Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee as the AEW Tag Team Champions. What's going to happen with Ricky Starks and Hobbs? What's going to happen to the Young Bucks and, Nick and Matt Jackson? Where does this go? They've been teasing Hangman Page and the Young Bucks reuniting. Where is this going to go? But man, this was fun, man. Especially with everything going on in the world. Like, this was a good show to watch to just take your mind off for 2 hours. And this was fun. This was fun. They didn't, like I said, man, this show, they didn't try to overdo it, and they didn't try to we're going to take it easy and just go. It was just a solid show. They kept it simple, and everything, for me, made sense. It made sense. It is what it is. So that is my review for the July 13th episode of AEW Dynamite. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Follow House of Wrestling on all social media platforms. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And, man, there's a lot of wrestling headed our way in the next 3 months. Actually, it's every month there's a lot of wrestling. But we got some good events coming up, in the top promotions and also in the indies. So, man, be on the lookout for an indie show in your area, wherever you are in the country, in the States, or overseas. Just be on the lookout for a wrestling show and catch it, and just stay safe and healthy and enjoy it, man. So, with that,